Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Thank you so much for an amazing day. It's been a really great one. We loved Jude earlier with accents and meditation. Of course, the most energetic man in musical theatre, Mr. Ashley Luke Lloyd, which is always wonderful. Now we have a bit of a treat for you. We have the wonderful Sian Reeves, who's going to talk about her career. And also, we get asked a lot about stage to screen, making that transition, which is always something that a lot of actors talk about, especially young actors, and how that's possible. So please, we're going to welcome Villain of the Year 2010, Miss, which I love, Miss Sian Reeves. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello, everybody. How are you?
I love that. You're Villain of the Year.
I know. That caused such a stir. Thanks for having me, and well done for creating this fantastic setup, James. It's fantastic, and I hope everybody's getting excited for the advanced tap after this.
Indeed.
Oh, yeah.
Are you going to do it yourself? I think you should.
Oh, God, I shouldn't be doing advanced. I'm quite good at tap, but not advanced.
I did a hip hop class the other day. No one watching. It was wonderful.
Did you? Well, that's the thing, you see, it's really embarrassing to go to Pineapple and try and do a class. I remember going when I was 15 and being dead nervous with my leg warmers on and my hair like a bit like this, actually. And then you just stand at the back thinking you're awful. And it was Charles Organs, and he was like, if you're going to be lazy and lean on the rail at the back and get out of my class. And I was just posing, I wasn't being lazy. I was just trying to be cool. So I think your thing is ace, because nobody will see you make a mistake.
Exactly. And how things been? How have you been? How's pandemic Britain lockdown for you?
Yeah, it's an interesting time. I think it's a great leveler actually for everybody. And in real life, it's made my parents feel that they belong. My dad said, I was born for this. Was born in the war, and they're getting more respect in the shops and stuff. And I think we have all just like leveled out, and that is wonderful. And it's obviously hard if people are on their own. Yeah. But I think if you have got it in you to dig down, and, I've just applied for another script writing course because I've been creating some scripts, and also, again, doing it from home. You're not quite having to go to Tottenham Court Road and walk up the stairs and meet everybody and declare that you're quite good at anything. So it's a really good way to learn loads of new skills. I have good days and bad days, but it's been quite busy, actually. Because the creative world is very open to new ideas. Yeah. And as I said, I've been writing with other people, and I'm pushing that. And the whole thing is changing with what is going to be accepted. So you can, if you're 20, you can write something. If you're 12, you can write something. If you're 80, you could write something, and they will listen because they don't quite know what they need to commission.
I love that. That's fantastic. And what sort of things, what is your writing style? What do you sort of gel with? Is it comedy? Is it serious stuff?
Well, I started doing, I've done like a sketch course, and then they said, no, you're far too like serious for this. So I realized I'm not like, and I thought maybe I should try being a stand-up. I've been really weird. I've been trying to be a stand-up.
But I've always wanted to do that, because I think I was an actor for a long time as well. And it was always something I thought would be the most terrifying thing to do. To make people laugh and then deal with the heckles. I just think that's incredible. Have you done it? Have you actually?
Well, by week 6, I absolutely was terrified, and that was when we were going to have to do it. And what did I do? I created a character and hid, and I became a Roger Federer fanatic and wrote a poem. So I felt like I was a bit like doing a Victoria Wood kind of thing, which wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to go into the 2020s, but no, I was going back. And they all thought it was funny, but my heart was, I have never been as terrified, because I had an alternative to do. But I went, no, I'll go into that character. So it was awful. But so what I'm leaning towards is kind of comedy drama, which I do a lot of, and which is what I seem to know. And it's quite exciting because pre-pandemic, PP, it was, big and glossy, and everybody from the world had to be in it. And, it had to be worth millions of pounds. And my stories are quite small and local.
Right.
And whoa, that's what we're coming back to, because nobody can go anywhere. So they want to make, it seems, the smaller, more contained things where you can be in a small village. The cast and crew can be somewhere, for 2 months and make it, or in one house. You really can try for anything, but keep it quite small. That's what I think it is what's going to be made. Because, we're great. We're great in Britain. We're brilliant. We don't need to do all these glossy American things. They're great at doing that in America. Let them do that and let us do what we're good at.
Tell, are you so like when you watch TV, what is your so we got given the box set of West Wing at Christmas, and we started watching that, and it is just the most sublime writing. It's like just incredible. And so is there anything that you're latching onto at the moment, or that's really sort of that you're watching and you're addicted to?
Well, last night watched the Salisbury Poisonings, and that I thought was really well done. Really well done. And but I don't know if it's because we haven't really seen anything new that we're going, oh, that was great, because we were just watching lots of things that we liked from before. I love Reese Witherspoon. I love what she's been doing. Like she did that Big Little Lies, and recently I watched her Little Fires Everywhere.
Yeah, what's that like? I haven't got to that yet.
Yeah, it's really good. She is, speaking about things that should have been spoken about a long time ago. Really admire her. I think she's really clever. And she's doing that in the American fabulous way. And we can all do that and tell our stories here about, instead of we don't live in America, so we can't really, I don't think we can really write that. I think you can only write about what you know. And that's what I've learned, actually. So Little Fires Everywhere and big crush. And I'm just going to say this, and all judge me, is you've got to watch Heartland for a bit of escapism. There's 13 series. You can just go on.
Heartland, I don't know this. Who's in Heartland then? What's the
nobody you would know, and it's all about horses. And I didn't even know I liked horses and ranch cowboys, and they live this life, and it's pure escapism. And I've watched the entire 13 series of that. So that's not about. I'm a bit of a Hallmark Christmas movies girl.
I mean, you can't beat it. Bit of Hallmark Christmas, a bit of daytime TV.
I know, because I have, for work, I have to watch all the latest stuff. So for me, my escapism is things like Heartland and Christmas movies. But I do watch all the big nasty stuff. But when you finish with your West Wing, I'll come round and borrow that, please.
Yeah, we will send it to you.
It's quite expensive now. You can't get it for free anymore.
No, it's amazing. The writing is just Steven Soderbergh, and it's just wonderful. It's just A Few Good Men is one of my favorite films ever, and it's that same writing, it's the same, that speed, and it's really, really wonderful. Now I want to move on to the start of your career, and if anyone out there is in musical theatre, like I spent a large chunk of my performing career, you inspired so many, probably without not even realising, to enter the industry, certainly from your original cast member of Les Misérables.
I know, can you believe that? I was at Arts Ed on a musical theatre course, and I was broke, and I was working behind the bar at the Prince of Wales Theatre, where Guys and Dolls was on, with Lulu. and Clark Peters, Roll the Dice, Roll the Dice.
Oh, yes. He's fantastic.
Oh my God. And it transferred from the National. And so I, on a discretionary grant, had no money. And I saw this advert in the Stage, and that's what it was then. You got the paper every Thursday.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there it was, we're looking for a 19-year-old girl. I was like, I'm here. And then I went and queued up at the Astoria Theatre and realized that there were another 500 girls who thought they were the girls as well. And luckily I got like 4 recalls, and Steve Edis, who was the musical director of Guys and Dolls at the Prince of Wales Theatre, who's an amazing MD, heard that I'd got this 3rd recall and I had to learn a song, and he wandered into the bar and said, do you want to have a go on the stage? Shall I help you with it? And and I stood on the stage at the Prince of Wales, and I'm just from the Midlands and my parents aren't in the business or anything, you know, and I was learned Heart Full of Love. And then I went back for my 4th recall, ready with, you know, my guts, and I got it. And at that time, Rebecca Kane was cast as Cosette, but she had to go to Glyndebourne for a season. She was a proper opera singer. And so they got me in, and then so I was in the ensemble, and then I took over Cosette within the first year, you know, my first ever job. I got £132 a week. It was, and then, you know, we transferred, and my dad said, oh, you ought to buy a flat, you know, you're wasting your money. And so I did. And so it just set me up, and I learnt so much about how to behave and how not to behave. And I wanted to be a dancer, and, you know, it was furious that I'd got trapped in this thing playing a beggar, only doing a waltz, and then they'd raised the song by 1/4. So I had to have these really hard singing lessons with Mary Hammond, who's remained a wonderful friend. And luckily she could get me up to that top C. You know, it was 1/4 lower. That's a lot.
That is a lot. That is a lot lower. So tell us a little bit about that. So you did the Barbican and then the transfer to the Palace?
Yeah. And I've still got very good friends from there now. I was the baby, and they all sort of sneered at me a bit. Oh, you're leaving college to do this pile of rubbish, the glums. It won't last, darling. You don't want to leave college. So for a while, I did my 2nd year and Les Mis at the same time, because it was at the Barbican, and that's where Arts Ed was. So I was exhausted. I was just this thin little thing, just traipsing around the Barbican. And then it was standing ovations every night. And the first night was 4 hours and 45 minutes long. And they still stood up and roared and cried, and we couldn't get off the stage. And we were so tired, we just all sort of walked off because we hadn't really done bows by then. And then every day we then came in, and it was cut, and everybody's parts were cut and cut and cut and cut. And there was a lot of bad feeling in the company, which I think is what melded everyone together. You know, Trevor had got some of the best repertory actors. You know, Beverly Klein was in it, and Caroline Quentin, and they were leads in the circuit of our repertory world that we used to have then. And they were coming in, and they ended up with 3 lines, you know. And Michael Ball, and obviously and Patti LuPone, our Broadway star, who was just crying underneath, because we were all in everything as well. We've all got a penny on the record. Everybody has got 1p off the record. Brilliant. It was a really red group of people, you know. And Paddy would be crying every night because she was missing her boyfriend. She was a little boy with me on the barricade when I wasn't Cosette. And Roger Allen was like, this is a pile of crap, isn't it? I am reaching, but I fall. And the world is closing in. And I used to watch him, and he'd laugh. He'd look at me at the side of the stage, and then, as I reach into the void. Oh, God. Oh, my God. It was amazing. I still remember all the words. It's just weird. 18 months we all did.
I was in the West End in the show, and mobile phones were invented, and not everyone had them when they came out. And I had one. I had a Motorola Flip, and it was amazing. I had like a really horrible leather holder for it as well, and a little sort of thing that you pulled up and held. It was like those things off Star Trek. And but with the invention of the mobile phone came the Les Mis texts. So we had friends in Les Mis, and when I was in town, I think it was I know it's down to 3 hours now, isn't it, or 2 hours and 50, but it was about 3 hours 20, 3 hours 30 when it got into, you know, it's kind of fifth or sixth incarnation. And we would all go to the pub because our shows would be done by like 10:15, and we'd all be in the pub and we'd start getting the Les Mis texts in, get us a pint, because they're coming down at 10 to 11 at night, and they would literally no shower, rush, and we would line up these pints because pubs used to shut at 11 o'clock. We'd go wherever we went after that, but it would just be hilarious. You know, suddenly all the mobile phones would start beeping, and everyone's like, "What are you doing? Well, shut those things up!" No, it's Les Mis text. Here they go. Right, okay. Pint seller, or get a gin tonic. It's amazing. That's incredible. I mean, what a show! Though. What an absolute! It's got to be the most. I think it's got to certainly be not this era, but certainly for a very long time, the show that kind of, you know, was what made people go into musical theatre. It has to be. I know there are other shows, but that one particularly. I remember going to see it when I was at drama school, sitting on the front row, Michael MacArthur as Javert, and just like 15 quid tickets from the touts outside the theatre, you know, front row, streaming like this is the greatest thing. So where did it go then? So you finished, how long did you do in Les Mis?
So 18 months in that, and I also got the chance to do a read through as well for the original read through for Phantom of the Opera, because I was in there, which was like mental. Top floor with Andrew Lloyd Webber, and I was like the best friend of Sarah Brightman, and Colin was originally supposed to be Man with the Mask, the Phantom. Yeah, but because Les Mis was a hit, he couldn't be. Right. So yeah, Colin was there. Oh God, that was incredible, that read through. But of course, none of us could be in it because we were in this success, but we were knackered. So anyway, the RSC sort of then said, "Oh, would you come and be in Kiss Me Kate," which was their next musical. And of course, it was another massive contract, and they wanted me to understudy again. And thinking back, perhaps I shouldn't have done that, but it was regular money. I'd just got my flat, and it was a job. And Nicola McAuliffe, again, I learned so much from her. She was Kate in that. And we were, where did we go? Went on tour, and then we went to the Old Vic. So these were all massively prestigious jobs, you know, that anyone would. And really, my dancing wasn't that good, so I danced in that. And even though in Wolverhampton I was dead good, but in London I wasn't. And so I did that. And what was interesting as well was that the Les Mis lot, they were all so fed up with it. And they should have helped me. And that I really feel this. I help a lot of young people now with audition speeches and choices. And I've sort of gone back to my roots with this Birmingham company that's just set up. Because all of those people could have really helped me. I didn't have an agent or anything, you know. And I didn't really ask, I suppose. That's my own fault. Because I'd met a man at the Trocadero who said he was an agent. And he took me on. Brian Drew, what an idiot. But had I had the knowledge, or someone had said, "Sian, you're really good, you know, you need to write to my agent," I was in the best show in the world.
Yeah.
You know, it was, and so I shouldn't have gone to understudy. I should have gone to play parts, which I then did after that. I then played Maria in West Side Story, Sheila Franklin in Hair. So all the lead, Dorothy in Wizard of Oz, all the leads in all the musicals. But I was aching to be in plays. And so then I went into rep, and I went in with a ticket that I could sing. And I'd been in Les Mis.
Right.
So that was my ticket into getting to be in a Shakespeare play and getting my plays up, which of course you can't do now.
Oh, I think it's such a loss. And I think that, you know, part of, you know, I was chatting to you and saying about that stage to screen thing, which we'll get to, is that that way, back in that time when rep existed, like it was your opportunity to go away, and if you were, say, musical theatre, to go and work and do straight, do a fast, do panto, do Shakespeare through a year
Yeah.
rep, or vice versa. Maybe you could sing and so on, but all you've done is Shakespeare and you haven't been able to, and so therefore you could get that experience and get that credit to then move across into other areas of the industry. And I just think it's such a loss that the whole rep setup is just like, and there are probably students out there that don't even know what we're talking about. So talk through where was your first rep experience? Where was that?
Ipswich rep. I loved it. I kept returning because, of course, if they like you and you're half good, they ask you back. I went back for years and I did loads of plays. I did Noel Coward's, I did an Agatha Christie, I did an unknown musical, I did a panto, I did a couple of Shakespeare's. But repertory theatre was like, did you say explain what it was?
No, well, just about your first experience, and because a lot of people don't know. A lot of people, like when I graduated, it was literally, I think there were like 5 or 6 left, and by the time I'd been in the industry for a bit, they just all completely disappeared. I think you've got Pitlockery, and I couldn't probably think of where else you have like proper rep theatre. But I mean, the whole process, you're rehearsing one in the day, performing one at night, kind of thing, isn't it? So what would talk us through your first experience of it?
So you can't spend any money because you're knackered and you're rehearsing and playing. So that's great. And you're not on any money anyway, but you're so happy because you're in the theatre from 10 a.m. because you're so important until 10:30 at night. And everybody in the theatre knows you, and the lady, you'd be renting a room from the lady who did the food in the bar. Rosie Hamilton rented me a room a lot at Ipswich Rep. And I went in with 3. I did Fiddler on the Roof. That's how I got in. And then they were None, which was the Agatha Christie, and then Jessica in Merchant of Venice. And for me, it was Jessica in Merchant of Venice. That was what I wanted. But I had 6 months work, and you make real friends. Brilliant. And you learn about a real town that you would never go to normally. I mean, that's kind of a bit of an ambition of mine, is to try and buy an old shop and live above it and have a downstairs small theatre space where people can come and put on a play. Because I used to do a lot at the King's Head in Islington.
Yeah,
and what
brilliant.
Needs to be London is that casting people will come. And obviously we didn't get paid, but we just did the play, and we knew people would come and see us. And I think maybe within this pandemic thing, we can perhaps start that. If I sell my house and buy this old shop and live in the flat above, then I could make this little space, and you charge, 15 quid, proper easy money for a ticket, sell some coffees and sell some bottles of Peroni, and, do some plays so that people can come in from drama school and do 3 plays.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
And you can be the best thing was like being a maid. You always had one where you were in a tiny bit because you had too many lines to learn. So that was your best one, because you could just really learn how to just relax and be on stage, because you just had to open the door and go, Mr. So-and-so is here, my lord, or whatever. And then
watch great actors and watch and learn from actors who have done it for 20, 30 years, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that is a terrible shame. But yes, I did rep for a few years, and then and tours and rep. And then I managed to get into the RSC in Stephen Polyarkov's play, Talk of the City. That was a turning point for me. And that was just from going to see a play at the Young Vic in London and meeting up with the casting director there. And she went, "Oh, you can sing, can't you, Sian?" And it was Maggie Lunn. And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "Will you come in tomorrow?" And I was like, "Yeah," thinking, what have I got to learn? And it was this wonderful part in Polyarkov's play. And she was Millie Dews, a radio star. And she just had a tiny little song to sing. But she was a big star, but nobody saw her because it was the radio. But she used to dress up as though she was visual.
Love it.
That was great. And that's what got me my big agent, from a girl who was in that, Kelly Hunter, who said, "Oh, Sian," I was thinking, I just had a little baby as well at the time, Bessie. She was like 2.5 when I was at the RS. I then got that, which was part of the RSC, to a 2-year job, which was whoa. I did Merchant of Venice again and played Nerissa. You always end up doing the same somehow. And and then Kelly Hunter, who was in Talk of the City, she said, oh, you know, you need a better agent. I said, oh, I don't think I can afford it. You know, I might have to give up after this. This has been brilliant and I'm loving it. But, you know, Bessie's got to go to school, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I wrote to her agent and I got with them, and that was amazing. And I got a play at West Hampstead, a film with Ray Winston, and a television series.
Wow, how fantastic.
So it is the agent. It's the agent that gets you everything. And then that at 32 started my television career. So don't worry, you guys, it can still happen later.
Definitely. If people are watching, you can, if you're subscribing, you can write questions, as you know, in the comment box. So please do that and we will go through those. Do that now because there's a slight delay. So if you have any questions to ask Sian about what you're experiencing or the industry, or Sian, and we will see how those come in. So don't forget to do that. So when you did your first TV, you'd obviously done all this theatre. Like, what was that first day on set like? I mean, was it just so bizarre, or did you feel at home? What were your experiences?
So it was 10 one-hour episodes for BBC Two. It was the most massive job. I've been a lucky girl. In the Land of Plenty. And I also was playing from 18 to 43 in it.
Oh, wow.
What's her name? Helen McCrory was in it, Bob Pugh, Tony Maudsley, Kay Ragg. It was a brilliant story about these brothers and sisters. I was the cousin, Zoe, and this weird family in a Land of Plenty. Oh, it's very good. And it was, I was concerned that I didn't know the world of it. I didn't know the world of socializing outside it. Wow. Because there's a lot more money going on. And right. I had my little girl, so Bessie was like 3 by then. And so I had to keep racing back all the time to be a mummy. And all my money was going into being a mummy and preparing. But these lot, woo, party time, So that was hard to fit in, because also they didn't have a kid. I think in the business I was quite young having a kid. All my friends have had them in their 40s, and I had mine earlier. So it was quite good because I had to be sensible and grow up and go home. So, and in those days, I'd be wheeling around 10 scripts because you didn't have email, wheeling them around because I was quite nervous about filming them out of order, because of course, we were different ages as well. It wasn't just what the story was. It was like, oh no, you're 25 now.
Oh, crikey. Oh my gosh.
We were going through the ages, and Andy Tiernan was in it, and John White, and it was such a good cast. And
that first time in front of camera, what did that feel like? Like, what was that like for you? Because they're a lot closer than you think, right? Cameras on set, you don't.
Yeah.
I think when you watch things, it can feel like they're really far away. But I remember doing my first TV, and it was literally like, oh, is that going to be there? It is. Okay, good. Yeah, all right, I'm good with this. And it was literally like that, and just that whole not much rehearsal.
Yeah, the not much rehearsal is terrifying, because we're used to, in theatre, going over our lines. There was a brilliant camera woman, Karen Moy, who I'm still friends with, who really guided me and was sort of helping me with, you can't do that much, you've got to keep it she said, you're this small now, and Alvin Kuchler, always remember him as well. He was the DOP, and he was going, Sian, that's in the rehearsal, I'd be like crying. He said, that's brilliant, but I'm going to be this far away, so I won't really see that.
Right.
when I save that for when I come in. And I found that very difficult because I'd worn the emotion out. So that's something to learn, is to hang on to that emotion, because it's the wrong sort of crying. It's a bit, it became a bit too selfish. What's the word when you are emoting as a theatre actor? I see it a bit on the telly and I'm going, theatre, you know, it's a bit too much. It's a bit too selfish. And that's what the Americans are great at. Just letting it trickle.
Yeah, let it trickle.
In the moment. Whereas I think because there's quite a lot of us that come from this theatre where you're really much bigger, like this play that I was doing when the virus hit. That was great because you can just be a bit bigger and mold into it and be into the emotion of it, which would be way too much on screen, way too much.
Yeah.
So all of that, it was very interesting and difficult, and it was hard. It was a wonderful job because, again, it was a year's worth of money. I've been blessed. I thank you.
Fantastic. And what about Ray Winston? What film was that?
5 Seconds to Spare, and with Anastasia Hill, Andy Serkis, who is
brilliant.
Yeah, and that didn't really do very well. It was a year in editing. That's another thing that you learn with TV. I remember going to see it and being so disappointed because I felt like I hardly was in it, you know, because you're there and you're loving it. And then you don't really realize all the other people are doing their bits of story, you know, and they also can be cut to death, or bits that you didn't think were right can be used. So, yeah, Ray Winston was amazing. And I was really sad leaving that film. And what's his name was in it as well. Loads of people were in it. 5 Seconds to Spare, but it didn't do very well. And it took a year to come out. And, you know, then, and you were like, wow, was that the story? Because it really got lost. The editing, it just got lost. You were like, what is, and that was a book as well, 5 Seconds to Spare. But Ray was just brilliant. And that was just before he went off to do Sexy Beast.
Oh, brilliant.
Because he was saying, I've done nothing since Scum. You know, I've done nothing. And no, it's quite
he did Scum, he did Quadrophenia, and then it was kind of like we didn't see him for years. It was really strange. Really strange.
And now he's like a major American superstar / English.
Yeah.
But he was like, oh, don't worry, I'll see you again along, you know, that's what happens. We just pick it up. And I was like, oh, it's never, you know, I was really like, I felt really young and stupid, but I'd loved this experience so much being in a film. And that's what happens is you meet people and you pick up again exactly where you left off, and it's just fab.
So we don't need to go into the nitty gritty, but there was a time you've had this amazing like run of it from your second year at Arts Ed, but there was almost a year, wasn't it, where you'd injured yourself, which we don't need to go into, but where you thought that was, how's it going to work from there? How did you? You know, tell us as much as you want about your time then, but how did you then get yourself back in after that time out? You know, and it was a physical thing as well, wasn't it, that you'd got injured?
Yeah. I had a big injury. I fell down a trapdoor at a theatre, a big London theatre, and it was the technical rehearsal. That was the saddest part of it, where everybody is meant to be careful, meant to be watching each other, and somebody had, assistant stage manager had left the trapdoor open, and I walked off stage and I fell down and I smashed all my left upper rib cage. It was like in pieces and I could have been paralyzed. It was really serious. And I remember just going, trying to get this noise came out of me. Just like, it was weird because nobody knew where I was. I'd fallen down a hole, hadn't I?
Oh my gosh.
And and so I really thought I'd be back on there because they injected me with morphine. It took a year for me to get well, I couldn't sit up. I couldn't get in and on and off the toilet, in and out the bath, in and out of bed. I just couldn't sit up, do that. And I did think I'd have to, like, I always thought I'd enjoy being a teacher, you know, and I thought I might have to do that, just stop, you know. I've had a good run at it. It's been brilliant. I think I'd done cutting it by then, which was an amazing time as well. Yeah, I had. And so I'd had lots of television work, and yeah, so but, you know, having got through that and many phone calls to mum and dad, and them supporting me and my partner supporting me, and I think you find a drive within yourself, which is different to what I had when I was younger. You know, once you think I'm going to get better, I had to get better. I was so poorly, and once I got better, I was like, I'm going to get back in there. I'm going to get back in there, and God bless my nana up there and my grandpa, I got a massive series for called Hope Springs for BBC One. And during that time, I was in a lot of pain. And I think that made me a little bit narky to a couple of people, which I should apologize for. But when you're in this gnawing pain, it made me realize quite a lot about how other people have to live with ongoing pain, which I did do for about 6 years. I couldn't get rid of it at all. And it just makes you stronger, things like that. And it defines what you really want to do as well. And, you know, I wish that it hadn't happened, because I will get trouble with it later on in life, you know, and I have to exercise all the time now. And if I sleep on this tour I was doing, if you sleep in different beds, it messes it up.
Yeah.
So lots of problems that I still have, but I'm in a very good place with it. But it does make you strong, and it makes you go, yeah, I do want to do that, and I'm worth being listened to. So even though it was horrific, you can come through. I mean, some people, you know, I got involved with a lovely girl who'd been run over, and I helped her with her charity, and she was so badly injured, and it just makes you learn about different people, what they are going through, because I think we live in bubbles, I think, until something terrible happens to us, and it's quite lucky when things do happen, because it makes you a better person. Just opens the door, and you just go, hang on, I don't have to live like that. I don't have to live like those people. So it turned a corner, and luckily I got my great tiny size 3 foot back in, and did that other fabulous 8 1-hours for BBC One, Hope Springs, which was great up in Glasgow. And
let's talk. So after that, Sally Spode.
Oh my God!
When did that happen? So was that was in Emmerdale?
Yeah, I think that was quite soon after that, because of course I hadn't worked for a year, so of course you haven't got any money coming in, and I said, you've got to find me a really good paying job, and they blooming did. They were amazing, and it was Gavin Blythe, who has since left us, age 40. Same as his dad did. He was an amazing producer on Emmerdale. He got me in, and I met up with him, had a one-to-one at ITV, and he said, I've got this great idea. It was the first time they were bringing someone in for a whole year, but not a regular, really.
Right.
And that was great. And I learned loads there. You know, you have to learn 30 pages a day. God. And mostly I did that with the wonderful John Middleton, and who played Ashley, and Charlotte Bellamy, gorgeous girl. Mostly I was just with them, and Sally Spode was born. She's still in a mental hospital.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
I got towed away. Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I used to love Open All Hours. And you were, tell us about that as well, because that came back, and you know, what a fantastic, like, how was that experience as well?
Oh, can you imagine working with him? Rodney. So I'd never met him before. I knew Jeffrey Whitehead, who I'd done a film with very early on in my career, who plays, I don't know what he plays in it, Jeffrey. He's really tall. And in my stuff, he was the guy I was trying to get off with. I was trying to get off with everyone, I think. But David Jason was so fantastic. Everything you wanted him to be. And of course, I remember the two Ronnies. And then when he was in Open All Hours, when he was the young apprentice with the real man.
Granville.
Granville, yeah, Ronnie Barker. Oh, God. I mean, I was so influenced, I am, by Porridge, Fawlty Towers, all of that. Someone said to me the other day, Benny, an American guy, do you remember Benny Hill? And I was thinking, wow, we're not meant to mention those. You know, we're meant to mention Parks and Recreations and Veep. But actually, that comedy of that time, and what was that? Da, 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 da. Richard Bryars and Felicity.
The Good Life.
The Good Life. And Penelope Keith. Oh,
what was the one with Richard Bryars? Martin Clunes was his son. And they all lived, there was like a massive house, like the loads of them lived in a house. It was in the 80s. I loved it so much.
Yeah.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
It was the first thing Martin Clunes did. It was brilliant.
Oh, really? Really? Yeah. But those sorts of comedies, you know, were wonderful to me. So being in Still Open All Hours was just ace. It was like watching comedy Ledger Gold. I was just like, watch it. You know, because all of them are quite elderly in it.
Yeah.
And they've been around for bloody years. And I've seen them in everything, you know. And it was really interesting to watch how it was done. Studio, audience, pre-record, very different style. I did another thing called Mountain Goats for the BBC, which was a bit of an older fashioned style comedy with a live audience. So that was a bit like theatre. And so I was thinking, again, nerve-wracking because not enough rehearsal. Although they think, the TV people, that they're giving you this rehearsal. We're going to rehearse for a week before, and you think, whoa, that's ace. But it's not enough to go live then, because, you know, when you're filming, you can pick things up and you make a mistake and you can go again. And you learn it in a very short-term memory. For TV, I feel it's always here. But for this live thing, I was terrified. You know, because they could stop, but it would be ideal not to, because you look an idiot, you know. And there's people who can do that really well when they make a mistake deliberately to give the audience a laugh. And I can't do that because I'm too immersed in the character or freaking out. I try and get into the character, and then the nerves don't hit.
And we'll come on to questions in a second. So do keep those coming. If you have questions for Sian, please keep those coming in. And that sort of brings us up to, you were actually, it's how we know you, on a tour by the waters of Liverpool, and that stopped because of us going into lockdown, right?
Yes, and that was a Helen Forrester book. I'd read her books in the 80s, 90s, and she'd have been 101 this year. And we did a big blue plaque reveal on her house and great rehearsals. And we opened, it's really lovely cast, all getting on, a really happy company. We all supported each other so well. And, you know, I've tried to do one sort of theatre job every year as to keep my foot in the door. That's kind of like a rule to have, so that you don't lose it. Because it's a different memory thing and it's a different tool. And I love the theatre. And we only opened for 2 weeks and then we were off. But we were such a nice company, and hopefully next year it'll be coming back. And we'll be greater than we were, because we've all stayed in touch. And to have that, that will be like a rep company where you have that instant trust and instant faith that they will be there, they will be there, they will be there for you, which is wonderful for young actors to, and great for us as well, old troopers. But yeah, so hopefully By the Waters of Liverpool will be coming back stronger than ever next year, because that was a really nice part as well to play. You know, she was written by the daughter as an old cow, but actually she'd had 7 children. It was the 1930s, and they were so poor that she went without food and glasses. All her teeth were dropping out. But the daughter's written her like a right old bag. So I was really like stretching for, I had this wonderful dialect coach helping me with the accent, because it's 30s Southern, even though it's called By the Waters of Liverpool. It's about a Southern family who went to Liverpool to try and get work in the docks, as you know. And so it was a much more, she was saying, think of Vivian Leigh, Gone with the Wind, and she sent me her acceptance speech.
Oh wow!
Of when she won her would it be an Emmy, or what would it be, an Oscar? She won, and it was much more rounded, the vowel sound, because we would just go tight upper lip, wouldn't we? You know, it's RP, it's the wall. We'd just go like that, but it wasn't. It was much more interesting, oval, open sound. So that was fast. You know, there's so many things you can dig into with theatre. And I think I made some people like her.
Well, we were gutted because obviously we worked on it. We did additional casting, which is where you came from, and we were waiting to see it, and we didn't. So next year it will come back, definitely next year.
Yeah, and it'll be better. But you missed a real treat. And right up until the end, we had 500 people coming. You know, we were thinking, it was a Sunday. We had 2 shows, and we were thinking, is anybody going to come? And both shows, we had 500 people turned up, and it was I can't remember where we were, but it was a beautiful old auditorium. So, and we were like, they've come out to see us. Amazing. It was great.
Amazing. Yeah. And interestingly, looking at that cast and who was in it, going back to the rep feel, they were all people who had done, some had done TV and straight theatre, some had done musicals and straight theatre, and there was a real kind of mixture of talent in there, which I think brings that company feel to it, that it's not, you know, that they have done like the rep or a regional theatre, as well as larger, you know, West End and TV jobs. And I think that bringing all of those different elements together can create that kind of real connection with a company. I think that's a really, because they just get on with it, right?
Yeah, you know, we had Lucy Dixon, who was our lead, and she'd been in Hollyoaks, and she had the most mammoth job of lines to learn. Oh my God. Huge. It was horrendous. And she was superb, actually. She really was. And she didn't get enough of a pat on the back for learning all that, because we'd only been open 2 weeks, and we were just, you know, we were playing lots of different characters as well, which gave it that reppy feel. No one could be an ego. No one could have a big ego. And we had Parry Glasspool as well from Hollyoaks, and he hadn't done theatre before, and he was really nervous, and it was great because we could really support him. You know, we could just really help him. And he was great. He played all these different characters that you'd never think that good looking.
And he got great reviews. We were so happy for him. He got some really great mentions. We're like, yes, because he played like 8 roles or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, he played the most dashing. I don't know, because he looked young. The director kept saying, "Oh, Parry, you can do that." We were thinking, I've got enough to learn, you know. Lovely Eric Potts, and
Mark, wonderful Mark
Morahan, who I did just the 2 of us with. I beat him in the final of that when we were teamed with a celebrity singer at the BBC. Gosh, he was with that sexy kitten Natasha from Kitten, whatever that thing's called, sexy kitten thing, and I was with Russell Watson.
But when you paired, wasn't it
Rick Astley
who was supposed to be doing it? I remember. Oh my God, that's right. And then Russell Watson, wonderful. Oh, Russell,
he dumped you.
Oh, fantastic.
Never give you up. He did give me up. he said, I'm sorry, Sian, I just can't do this. I'm just too scared. I'm going to go with Lana and go to LA. She's got a film. Sorry. And then I got him and I had to learn all those really hard songs because he wanted to do really difficult songs.
Of course.
Of course
Wonderful.
He did.
Wonderful. Yeah. We cast Russell in a production that ended up going under, unfortunately. We won't go into that, but yeah, he's wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah, he's a nice boy.
Let's go on to some questions here from Valeria. Amazing name. Valeria Tarala. What a great name. Hi, Sian. Do you think it's important to have a BA in a musical theatre exactly to get a part in musicals, or is it enough to have a BA in straight acting? Any thoughts about it? P.S. Loving this chat.
Oh, hello, Valeria. You know, you have to have the triple threat now for musical theatre. When I was doing it, you didn't have to be that good at dancing and you could be just good at acting, and it was about hitting the notes. But nowadays, like the standard of Wicked and stuff, you have to be able to dance well and you have to be able to sing to a phenomenal standard and act your bottom off. So if you are interested in musical theatre only, then do you think it's important to have a BA in MT to get part in musical? No, you don't need the BA, but you need to be absolutely brilliant. And I suppose you need to be, your biggest problem is being exposed to agents. So you'd be, if you haven't started that BA, it would be good to try and get into a musical theatre course, like Arts Ed used to do an amazing one. They're all different, aren't they? They all change over the years as to who's the best, because then you'll do a showcase and agents will come and then you'll get an agent and get that important audition. So that's the problem with doing a degree, I think. Although I know at like, is it Drama Studio London now? They are doing a BA in it so people can get grants.
I think a lot of the drama schools have BAs now. I mean, Arts Ed are knocking it out of the park. They're doing some outstanding stuff. And I think they've managed to get them as BAs so you can, yeah, because back in my day to go, you kind of had to find the money for a lot of it. In fact, it was that transition period between them being, you fund yourself and BA. So there's lots of it. So I guess it's where the BA is Valeria, you know, that I'm talking about. But if it's an
accredited drama school, if it's at a drama school, then or do a 2-year course if you've already got a degree in something. But to get in, you need to go to a drama school, I think. And all these drama schools who are leaving now, they are getting an amazing opportunity because all the theatres are going, oh yes, we'll do a little workshop. I mean, people are going, oh, I haven't got to do my show, my 3rd year show. And I'm like, well, you'd have been in a show with like 6 other actors who perhaps weren't as good as you or not right for the parts, or the play was rubbish, and not many people would have come. You are so lucky getting one-to-ones with the Royal Exchange in Manchester are doing that.
Yeah.
You know, you could even write now to all of these theatres, all of you who are listening, if there's anybody's out of the sunshine, we've just got Valeria, you and me, and just write to these theatres and say, you know, if you can include like a little self-tape of yourself, maybe, which is only a minute long, just this is me. I love, and just, you don't just say, this is me, please look at me. Say you've seen a play there. You know, go or remember, or go and see a play there, or remember what you saw a year ago. Say, I'd love to work with you, or find a director who you loved their work. You should all be going to the theatres previously and watching things, or watching things on television, and writing to casting directors now, sending a little tiny little show reel of yourself or your spotlight link, and just say, I loved watching Salisbury things last night. Find out who cast that. You can Google it. We have so much information. I am this. I think I would be perfect for anything that you might be casting, or I would love to audition for you. Send it off. We have got the doors are open right now for us.
Definitely. Great advice. I hope I say your name right. Oops, 1 second. Artie Sar. Hi, thanks for doing this. What are some of the biggest differences you've noticed between stage or screen that might not be so obvious to actors, and any behind the scene best funny moments?
Ooh, What does that mean? What are some of the biggest
So
differences?
I think what is it that, so, you know, as an actor, you go through your career and you might be a stage actor majority or screen actor majority. What is it that there may be in the other field that you don't know about and people don't necessarily teach you about? Is there anything that stands out?
The biggest thing in television and film, as opposed to theatre, is that you are a small cog in the wheel in television and film. You may get a car to bring you there. You will be asked what you want to eat. You will be made up. You will feel like you are quite special, and it can go to your head. But actually, you are the smallest cog, and that's the biggest thing to remember, I think. You know, because, you know, I got a bit big-headed after Les Mis. You know, I thought I was the dog's whatever. But you've got to remember that these people have spent like maybe 8 years getting this script to the screen before you were cast. You know, so you have to be, I don't mean you're deferential and bowing down at all, but you have to be so respectful. You've got so many other people involved: lighting, props, costume, makeup, hair, lines, everybody. You cannot be a big head. And I'm not saying on stage you can be a big head, but it is more your thing. It is more your thing on stage. And that's what's wonderful about it, because you go on and no one can stop you. And that's the journey. But you are so crafted in television and film that you simply have got to, and I don't mean be humble, I mean be yourself, but be aware of how many other people are making you look right. So that is the biggest difference, I think, is that you're a tiny bit of the production. Although you'll feel like you're massive because you have to do all the press. You got this car, you got everyone messing with your hair. You know, you feel so cosseted. And now, because of the pandemic, I'm thinking that may change. You know, we might have to turn up in costume with our makeup done and be at a distance. So they can't pandering. And so, you know, I used to think I can get myself there. I'd rather get myself there than I can drive straight home to my baby, you know. But no, you have to be picked up so that they know that you're exactly arrived on time, and that they put you into this room where you have to stay. You know, it's quite interesting, the difference. But with theatre, you can own it more and can argue your case more, really, about how you want to play it.
The small amount of TV that I got to do, the thing that stood out more than anything was being picked up dead early, and they're like, oh, fancy, fabulous. Get there to make up, to hair, costume, in your caravan. You're filming at 10:30 tonight, and you're like, I got picked up at 7 a.m. and then you're just there all day. So get a good book, be patient, you know, things like that, and also. The one of the ones I did, I was supposed to be filming like very late, and then something happened. They were like, we're going with your scene in half an hour, and you're like, oh, so then you got to suddenly switch it on, you know, and that changed.
I'd forgotten that, actually. I kept running out in Land of Plenty. I kept running out to the second, this man in this caravan, knocking on the door and going, do you think they've forgotten me? They haven't written me out the scene, have they? You know, because I didn't know about all that waiting around. I'd forgotten that. And I was so anxious. I was exhausted by the time I got on set.
Yeah.
I thought they've written me out. They think I'm shit. You know, this is it. I'm on my way home. Why haven't they come to get me? You know, so it's a really good way of learning to sit quietly, be calm, know your lines, keep yourself occupied, keep your brain at a dull roar. It's really hard.
That's it, isn't it? It's keeping your brain just sort of in this place.
Not wearing yourself out, because they're hugely long days as well. But with the soap, it's much, much quicker. You know, you're in and you're on and you're there and you're doing it and you're off. But yeah, so I'm trying to think of funny moments, but I'm sure there are. I will remember one in a bit, I'm sure.
Brilliant. Excellent. We'll come back to that. Thank you so much, Artie. Katie, this is so lovely to be a part of. Thank you so much. My question is, do you feel like there is a stigma from musicals to screen casting wise? For example, if you have more MT on your CV, but have a passion for acting, for TV too.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. And I felt that I was stigmatized with that at the beginning, and that was in 85. Now it might be more so because musicals are so extremely different and wonderfully film-like and bonkersly high standard. You know, you could at least say, well, I was an actor just hitting the notes, you know, in my day. But yes, there is a stigma, and that's why repertory theatre was a really great thing, because you could go and do a couple of plays and you could say, I've just been, and you know, these pub theatres that we used to have, and like the Arcola used to be a place where you could just go and do a play, and now that's a fancy theatre as well. You know, it's not just, I remember it being underground. It was like a car park. It was like a dungeon, and it was amazing. And there were candles everywhere, and everyone was doing it for free. So we need to get that back, so that people can come and do plays and then say write to casting directors and say, I've just been in. The Vault Theatre is somewhere that still does that.
Yeah.
And I'm surely up in around Manchester and Liverpool, there's got to be some pub theatres that are still going, surely.
There are some in London still, but I know exactly what you mean, where it sort of took that, like, when I was doing musicals, and I was like, right, I want to direct, and just literally, you know, you go to a fringe venue, it's like, oh, I want to direct something. Like, all right, it's, you know, it's 500 quid for the week, and you're like, great, and this is what you get, and this is what you don't get, and but if it does feel like that has changed, it's all much more. There's more, the stakes feel higher for some reason. So, but also I think like you said earlier, it does depend on your agent. That, you know, you might have that agent that has really great connections in, as well as musical theatre, as well as TV and film. But the key, I think, from our side of it, in the casting side, is that if you want to get into musical theatre and you don't have that on your CV, you need to have a vocal reel, singing. And if you are MT and you want to get into TV or film, you need to have an acting reel. It's as simple as that. And if you have those tools, it will help you no end to get seen. It's as simple as that. Because if you're able to show us that you're fantastic and we're casting a TV show and you're right for the role, it doesn't matter what you've done. But if you don't have that to show us, then we can only go on the CV. So definitely work at getting some form of reel, like you said earlier, Sian, you know.
Make something, write a little short film, or, you know, don't record a play, you know, just copy some lines down from a television thing like Sex Education if you're young or something, and write the lines down and get a friend and record it. Don't do a play. Don't do a speech from a play for your show, for you trying to be on telly.
Great advice, great advice. Miriam, Sian, you are such a tonic, loving your positivity, your stories and advice this afternoon.
Oh, thank you.
We got Artie again. A lot of notes actors get for screen compared to stage is to bring it down, do less. Any tips on achieving that and or authenticity without losing the character's intentions, especially in scenes of emotion?
Yes, be exhausted. I was at my best when I'd had my daughter, and I got loads of roles because I was just knackered all the time, and that brought it down, because I've got quite a lot of energy. I am a bit too much, I think, and that's why I play those parts. They're a little bit too crazy. But yes, if you're exhausted, stay up as late as you can. And you will be better, because you'll be able to I mean, I know this isn't a really good tip, because if you're doing a whole series, you can't stay up late every night. But it just makes you dig into that real place, and it will make you less, just that bit less than that you need for the television.
I think self-taping you as well, if you've got a smartphone, self-tape yourself. Like on a daily basis, and check in with yourself and go, well, actually, let me see how far I can go down before I lose the intention. Like, you can do that yourself. You can set it up, film yourself doing a scene, an emotional scene. Okay, that was too much. Bring it down. That was too much. Oh no, that's too little now. Okay, it's around about there. You know, just practicing. And in lockdown, you have that ability to really, you know, give it a go. And
it's hard. Some people I don't like looking at myself, but in lockdown I have done we've had to, and it's quite interesting. because I don't really watch myself in things or anything. And now this last 3 months, I've had to, and because I've been giving these lessons to these people, these lovely young people, and I'm watching and I'm going, oh, I do that. You know, you're learning all the time. You never stop learning in this industry, and you never stop fighting for yourself either. And that's one big tip I'd give to you all, is that you have got, no one is going, you don't sit in your garden with a glass of wine and think you're going to get a part. You have got to keep on and going to see things, writing to people, making a more relevant show reel or a vocal tape, looking what's happening. You've just got to keep working at it, or else you will not achieve your full potential.
Definitely. Fantastic. Great advice. Sian has such infectious energy. Oh, how lovely. And Auntie says she does. Also, Christopher, King's Arm in Salford is still going, which is wonderful. Back to Christopher. Hi, Sian. Just wondering about differences you found between warm-ups between TV and theatre. You mentioned not knowing when you're going on set in TV. Are there ways to sort of stay warm?
Oh, God, no, because you don't really know. You just keep popping out to the second, who is your one contact, and going, so do you think it'll be like an hour? So, I mean, on cutting it, you know, and luckily I've paid like nice parts, so I haven't had too much time to hang around. But to keep energy going, our second, Kath Lil, she used to let us go shopping. She'd go, right, you've got 2 hours, go. And you'd put a big coat on and you'd just whiz to the shops, because we were always really by the Arndale Centre in Manchester or somewhere, and you'd nip out and it would just keep your energy going. But obviously you can't do that if you're in the middle of a field or a desert or something. So I don't know, you know, playing on your phone. I always read. I read a book, because you're reading, you're keeping your energy going, but you're quiet. And so that is, and for theatre, I always do a warm-up, always try and do a group warm-up or do something on the stage to realise how much louder you've got to be, and go and stand at the back. And when you visit new venues, go and stand at the back and listen to people on stage, see how loud they're being, get them to say, can you hear me? But warm up on stage is great, because you're all together and you're going to make a show that night. But for TV, I've just, reading a book is my one. And also because I've been a mummy for my whole like career, and Bessie's like flown the nest now, thank God. You know, I was knackered most of the time because I was running to and fro being a mummy, you know. So I loved filming. I'd be like, whoa, time to read a little thriller. And they'd knock the door and go, oh, not now. But yeah, we used to keep our energy going a lot and cutting it by nipping to, we called it Oklahoma, that lovely shop on the corner in the northern quarter where they sold little toys and everything. Oh, and we'd go there and we had these see-through, we'd all have a bag with a book, a phone, money. And then as soon as we broke, they'd say, right, get rid of the girls. And that would keep our energy going. And we'd just go for a coffee and then we'd come back and they'd like get them back in. We were constantly, and that's why cutting it was ace, because we were like the whole time.
Fantastic. Great. If you have questions, please just keep typing, keep them coming in. You were part of the 2010 Les Mis at O2. Were you part of that? What was that like? Like, what was it like just sort of returning and meeting like all those people and old friends and other people that played the parts? Was it just mental?
Yeah, it was so overwhelming. It was awful. It was kind of awful because it's ours. And you know, we made it and we slaved to make it. And just up until this last 6 months, it was our staging and everything that was used for Les Mis. So there'd be a Sian replacement and Ken Caswell, who used to do it.
Yeah.
You know, cast you in that, Sian, you know, and we'd go and watch it at the 5th, the 10th, the 15th, the 20th, the 25th, the 30th, and most recently this, the 34th years. And I missed the 30. I was doing a film and I missed, was it the 30th I missed? And that was sad because we were going to sit in the audience and then they were going to, and now the original cast are going to come up to the stage, walk up through the stage and onto, and I'm really sorry that I missed that. But I'm so proud of it because it was amazing. And it was the first bridge from, opera to recitative, where you were telling a story. I'm here and I'm talking to you and I'm telling you a wonderful story. Instead of, yeah, and a bit poppy, you know. Colin was known for doing Che Guevara, you know, he was a rock singer in Ireland. His voice was just incredible. So it was a bit sad because you've got all these different people who think you've had their memories of being in it. And it was a big show to be part of. And I've got friends who were in it in 87, 90, you know, I've got friends and it's yeah, and everyone had an amazing, weird or wonderful or odd time doing it because it was so exhausting. It was exhausting when it's this short now, you know, because of the emotions that you go through. But yeah, it was a bit weird because then we all came on at they'd done lots of stuff, they'd done lots of singing, they went, now the original London cast. And we ran on and it felt like we were in front of everybody who'd done all the hard work, which felt wrong. And yeah, it just didn't. My mum and dad, they came because of course they were like, oh, Sian's in this Les Misérables, you know, and they brought a coach load up to see me, and I'd worked in this little fancy dress shop and they all came, and I'd been in the local amateur dramatics there in Wolverhampton and everything. They all came. So it's so many memories involved, but it's really hard to share it. And I worked with a lovely girl recently who'd been in it, and I was a bit, whenever she said Les Mis, I was a bit, you don't know anything about it, which is terrible because it's really different now. And now they've restaged it and everything. You know, Cameron's done his whole new restaging of it for various reasons. So it's not our staging anymore. But that was weird to think that someone was just sitting in that same spot that I sat in for 18 months, for 34 years, all over the world.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Let's go back to you winning your award for Villain of the Year.
I don't think I did win. I don't think I did win.
No, I was nominated. Do you get nominated for it?
Yeah, do you know?
I got nominated. I'm sorry, you didn't win. Oh no.
No, it's okay though. I had a great night. It was a really lovely night. And Larry Lamb won for EastEnders.
Oh, brilliant, Larry Lamb. I used to work in Triangle. Triangle.
God. Yeah, no, he won, bless him. He's lovely. But yeah, it was me and him up against it. But that Sally Spode caused such a stir. I got terrible trouble, people following me, people being horrible on the train. Because when you're in a soap, you're sort of in someone's house, you know, too much every day. Yeah. And even I used to have friends on the train going up and down to Manchester because I'd been going up and down to Manchester for like 20 years working. And then this one woman, she just came and like grabbed my rubbish and put it in the bin. And I was like, oh, hi. And she went, I don't like what you're doing with Ashley. I couldn't believe it. And I'd been traveling up and down for 15 years playing different parts and things. And I said, oh, I know, it's hilarious, isn't it? No. And she walked off. And so it got a bit violent, and I had to, because it was late at night to get back to London. And so I had to wear a wig so that I was in a blonde wig so that I wouldn't get, and a hat. I just sat there learning my lines, feeling very sorry for myself, but because they were all a bit merry and drunk by then. Sally, we know it's you cow, really horrible. But
What
you
was it
really,
like the first experience of that must have been so bizarre. I worked with the gorgeous Arthur Bostrom, who used to be in Allo Allo. He was the policeman in Allo Allo, and of course is like good morning. And he was saying that he was in a supermarket, and I was like talking to him about this a long time ago. We did a panto together actually a long time ago, and he was saying, it was really weird when I realized that the character kind of was bigger than I was in sense of like, it wasn't about me. Because I was in the supermarket and I heard somebody behind me go, good morning. And I turned around to go, oh, hi. And they weren't saying it to me. They were actually saying it to themselves. And somebody replied, good morning. And he was like, oh, this is weird now. This is so strange. So was there a moment when that kind of, you'd done all this work, but soaps have such a special place in kind of in the heart of Britain, that we do go on these journeys nightly. It's not like a film, is it? It's these nightly journeys for years, and like your characters come back, hasn't it? It's been you did it some time ago, then you've come back, and people remember it. It's the thing. I can switch EastEnders on. I might not watch it for 3 months. Put it on. I know exactly what's going on.
yeah.
So what was that like to experience that first off?
Well, it was just like, that's a really cheeky sound coming from your room.
Yeah, don't worry. It's my phone. It's buzzing. I thought I'd switched all that off.
I don't, because I had such a lot of attention from cutting it, like good attention, really good attention from, they loved it. Oh, we love it. We love it. Because it's such, and my character was really great, and, so, my daughter's sort of grown up with people coming up and saying hello to us a lot. And then Sally Spode was totally awful, really, because people just didn't like what she was. Obviously, she was a bit of a, got a few screws loose, but she was really terrible, tearing these much loved characters. I think it's the fact that Laurel and Ashley were much loved.
Yeah.
And if they'd been like another couple that weren't that loved, I'd have been okay. But it's because I was tearing these two really lovely, and they are lovely people, apart. And I was just flabbergasted. And then people would get mixed up. They'd go, oh, you don't mind me saying, I do know you're that girl, aren't you? And I'm thinking, by this time I was a bit cautious, and I would go, yeah. And then they'd suddenly, and then I get quite a few who'd go, and I'd go, oh, do you mean cutting it? I think I'd go in with a nice one. No, I don't think I know you at all. No. And then they'd walk away. So it was like, that was really hurtful, because I thought they really liked me. And they were like, oh. Obviously it was the Sally Spode thing. And then they just went, no, I don't know you. And off they'd go. And so, some of them have gone, no, I know you from the dentist. You're not on the television. No, like that. And I'm like, oh, and then I learned, because I was like, no, I don't live here. No, you do. And I don't know, they'd get themselves into a terrible muddle.
Brilliant.
And I learned then to just go, yes, the dentist. But that took me about 6 months to learn how to deal with that, because I just wasn't thinking properly, I suppose. And I was tired, and I didn't want Bess to be upset. And I was going, oh, no, just playing just playing a part. This is my daughter. No. And it was this.
I love it. Absolutely brilliant. Yvonne says, thank you for sharing your tips and experiences. Very warming personality. I can listen to you all day. Your energy is very positive and uplifting.
Thank you.
Absolutely is. So I've got some really important questions now.
Okay.
Yeah, these are the big ones.
Okay.
So we've mentioned TV and so on. So, but favorite book at the moment, or book of all time? And I write these down. These are for my own, like, what to read. Are you reading anything?
Well, I'm a voracious reader. I love saying that word because I just suck up at anything that I've got. But I've recently read The Witchmaker's Daughter,
Which,
um, which was
okay.
a Richard and Judy book, which was really interesting because it was quite nice because it was about a time gone. I kind of like that. I read murder mysteries like they're going out of fashion.
Right.
Carl Hyacin is a nice writer. A Suitable Boy, Vikram Safe, that's always been a firm favourite. So quite a different, not just one sort of thing. I'll read anything. I love it.
Brilliant.
You propped up on Daphne du Maurier, Rebecca, which I'm reading again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but because I read all those old ones years ago, and I've just done Two Towers again, Thomas Hardy. So I like doing the oldies as well, the classics, because the book's nothing like the film.
No, they never are. They're never.
No, because I was thinking I'm getting towards a Mrs. Danvers. That's where I'm heading.
So that was my next question. If there was a part that you could play, like either one that you could play now or a part from a film that once was, but they may not make again, what parts do you kind of look at and go, oh, I just want to get my teeth into that, or that would have been a part for me that I would have loved to have played?
Oh, well, I think of all the old films. I think of Betty Davis. I wish I could have been her in everything. And also, I always think I should have been Shirley MacLaine.
Oh, amazing.
Oh,
amazing.
my God. Her doing Big Spender. I do love a musical. I'd like to do another musical. She did something called The Apartment as well, where she was like an older dancer, and it was a film. I was looking at that. If they could see me now, I think it's that song, and something about a hotel. I've forgotten it now. But yeah, Shirley MacLaine. I wish I could have been her.
What about parts to play in theatre, like Shakespeare? You obviously love doing Shakespeare. What is there anything that you would be like, oh, I'd love to do that, even if it's like not necessarily within? Because I would always look at parts that I was never going to play and be like, oh, I'd love to have done that. Love to have played that part.
Yeah, well, I remember going to see Robert Lepage's Dream at the National, which a fella I was going out with at the time was in. And I always thought, oh, I'd love to be Titania. I'd love to be Queen of the Fairies. I'll never be Queen of the Fairies unless they make her a bit older. And that's a bit sad, because Sally Dexter was wrapped upside down in a black velvet cape like a bat. And then they just let her out and she suddenly became standing up. He was Cirque du Soleil, Robert Lepage, and their Puck was just doing backflips and gambols through this mud. The whole stage was mud. I mean, it was amazing. And I always think, oh, I'd love to have been Titania then, Queen of the Fairies. But yeah, that. And I just also would love to be Maggie Smith when I grow up.
Oh,
just amazing. Look back at what she did as well. She was very attractive and sexy, and wonderful with that little red barb. And, yeah. Because we only think of her as an old dowager, really,
right,
from Downton.
Yeah.
But look back at all that stuff, and like Glenda Jackson now playing King Lear. My God, I would aspire to be like them if I could.
Fantastic. Katie says, I really like the comment of what you said about it can happen when you're older too. With playing age, how do you know what age to put on a CV? Because there are actresses who are older but can play younger roles and vice versa.
Yes, this is difficult because in theatre, obviously, we all look a lot younger. And it all depends if you are genetically kind of younger looking as well. You might be. So, you've just got to be realistic and, say if you're 25, really, you should be able to play from 21 up to 30, really. It's those teenage years that I think you can't quite make it to 24. So you should say that, because you are going to look, if you're 16, you are going to look 16. So you should perhaps put 16 to 18 or 16 to, I don't think you'll even make it to 20. If you're 16, because you just won't have had any life experiences that are in you by then. really. And if you're like an only child, and if you're pretty innocent, you're going to look much younger for a lot longer. You just are, because you just don't get hit by as many insults from your brothers and sisters. You just think you're amazing. I'm not an only child. But I think it's different brackets. You know, when you're maybe 32, you're only going to go to like 35 or 28. You're not going to go up to 40. You've just got to really be honest with what you look like and go, you know, because I'm in an odd bracket at the moment. I'm 54, but I look younger than that. And I don't look like a worn out, and I'm not overweight or anything. Not that you're supposed to be at 54, but that's an interesting thing about what women are supposed to look like, actually. So I'm up against a lot of 42-ish, 44-ish year olds for TV. And actually, I'm 10 years older than that. But that's always been the case for me. I've always looked 10 years younger. And you will know that because people will go, I could ask for my ID. I was so excited. It was just a girl as well. And I also got stopped in my car the other day, and like in the winter, and I had a bubble hat on and like leggings and a black zippy hoodie thing. And the police he said, pull over. And he said, get out of the car. He said, just be honest with me now. He said, is this your car? 54. And he said, and just tell me the truth. Are you insured? And I was like, and then I was crying because I was so frightened. And he said, how long have you been driving? And I went, 27, 37, 47, 47, 48, 49, 30, you know. And he was looking at me like I was taking the mickey. And I was just thinking, do I look like a boy? Do I look like a hoodlum? What do I look like? I'm definitely old enough to drive a car and have insurance. And it was only a little tiny smart car. You know, it wasn't like a steal away car, honestly. So I think you've just got to be honest about what you think you look like, and ask for some advice, maybe. You know,
we always say, like exactly what you've been saying, depending on where you are, that mid-teens to 20s, 4 or 5 years, then maybe up to 7 years, then maybe that 9-year bracket. But some people put like a 15-year bracket, and that's just crazy. You can't, you know.
Yeah.
So,
and you've got to be, sorry to butt in, you've got to be really what you are as well these days, because we are such a globally cast thing. You know, I went through a stage of thinking, oh, I'm trained to be an actress that doesn't need to be like this anymore. I learned all my accents. I'd learned all my classes of how to play a maid and a dowager, and that's not what is required anymore. You simply have to be who you are. So you can't like fake that you're from Spain, or, you know, I used to think, oh, I'm great, I'm dark, I can be Spanish. You know, they were like, oh, you're so lucky you can be Spanish or Latin American. You know, that is not happening anymore. And you don't really need to learn a Glaswegian accent anymore. And you just have to be who you are and be proud of who you are, because there'll be something in you that will be cast.
Definitely. That's a great way to end. Just, Rachel, thank you so much, Sian, for your advice and the experiences that you've shared this afternoon. Really appreciate your time. And I think that sort of echoes everyone, including us. That was just so wonderful. Your energy and the way you come across and your openness to talk about everything, and in such a wonderful way. So we cannot thank you enough for being with us today. It really is fantastic. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me on, and keep on, everybody. Just keep on creating.
Do you do one-to-ones with people as well? Is that something you do? Is that
well, I'm doing it for this lovely boy, Rem Conway. He was a runner on Shakespeare and Hathaway, and he started up his own drama school in Birmingham. It's called ONFORM, and I am offering like a one-to-one helps with self-tapes or auditions. And they were running a free competition for that, that someone could win, because I'm from around West Brom. I'm a Baggies. I'm from the Birmingham Bay. So I'm putting something back. But if you did want, I think it's £15 for 45 minutes. That was as low as they could go.
But
I am on form.
Brilliant.
Yeah, if anybody's got a script that they want to go through, I usually send a couple of scripts out, and it's just to help people find a reality, and then they could film it and then send it to some casting directors.
Brilliant. Excellent. Sian, you'll see the thank yous come in for your time. I'm going to take you off now, but don't go anywhere. Just thank you from all of us here at Collective Creative Initiative. It really means a lot to us to have you here. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. See you guys. Good luck, everyone.
Bye-bye. Oh, amazing, amazing. I hope you enjoyed that, as you've been enjoying all these sessions. Just having that honesty and that openness is just so fantastic. And it's been an absolute privilege to have Sian here today. And as Sian said right at the top, yes, we have Advanced Tap next. With the incredible Simon Adkins. If you don't know who Simon is, he was the associate choreographer on 42nd Street, the recent one with the cast of 200. I think it was 56, which is amazing. And he was also the choreographer on 42nd Street that we cast, and he got an Ophir nomination for Best Choreographer for that. So get your tap shoes out. And honestly, nobody's watching, so just do it. It's really good for the thighs and the buttocks. So enjoy that. Otherwise, we shall see you tomorrow. You know the score. I will be releasing info on who's tomorrow, but you've all probably been onto the calendar already and got it all in your diary. So thank you so much. We'll see you with Simon